Okay, having Ghost Rider as our final big bad evil guy wasn't number one on my list, but here we are anyway. What's up everyone, it's Class 1A, I'm Dylan, bringing you another My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter breakdown. This week we have chapter 113, Ultimate Villain. Let's get into it. We kick off the chapter back in the midst of one of the most intense fights in all of My Hero Academia history, ever. We get some point of view thoughts from number 6, who at this point is 100% mind broken. He talks about how he wants to be nothing more than a hero like O'Clock, but then the crawler showed up and ruined everything. Okay, so obviously this is some fudging with history right now that he's doing, because looking back at the earlier chapters, he clearly was giving drugs to people, he was turning people into villains, just murdering people, innocent high schoolers he was murdering. Like, at no point was he a hero in this story. Like, does he not remember the whole Tokyo Sky Egg incident of where he almost killed all the people up there and a ton of heroes included? Back into the actual fight, number 6 self-destructs, but not to kill Koichi, but instead to turn into his maybe final form. A hot plasma lightning skeleton monster. Alright, this is unexpected to say the least. Okay, so let's try to break this down and think about the logic behind what's going on right now. So he has a ton of bomber cells within him. Those bomber cells each have like a quirk that he can activate to explode. Now he's using all of them to combust at once to create so much energy it turns his solid matter into plasma, which basically just turns him into this lightning skeleton monster. Okay, so logically, does this make sense? Kind of, I guess, but honestly, it's just really cool. Who cares? We then see number 6's O'Clock side narrating all of this. He slowly starts to reveal himself into his true form, which, as we speculated, is All for One. Okay, so after the last chapter, we were like 99% sure it was All for One, but after seeing this here, obviously it is him 100%. And if you look at this form right now that he's in, he has all this medical equipment hooked up to him, which is the exact same state that we saw him at the beginning of My Hero Season 1. So he's probably in his hideout now, just hooked up to all this equipment with the doctor. This is most likely just like a vestige kind of representation of him. He's not literally there with number 6, but more just seeing things through the vestige state. And honestly, if number 6 is the prototype for what he was working with, whatever he has in the main series at the present day is some really scary stuff. We leave the fight with Lightning number 6 shooting hot plasma missiles at Koichi as he's running away. Yeah, I know how ridiculous that sounds, okay? But it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be a very cool final part of this fight. Back with the Naruhata Crew, we see them rallying together, running down the street to find Koichi, and once they look up at the exploding sky, they have found him. And that is where we end this chapter. Okay, so finding Koichi in the midst of all this fighting is probably pretty easy. I mean, just look for the explosions. But I think the real question here is, how did they even help? Okay, so as the power level of this story has been slowly increasing over the last couple chapters, I actually really like that the Naruhata Crew is able to still fit in here. But obviously that their power level is still pretty low. I mean, most of them don't even have the quirks that are really fighting quirks to begin with. But I think if they all come together, they could probably have an impact on this fight and help Koichi in some way here. So I think number 6 is so interesting right now. I mean, he is 100% mind broken, but at the beginning we see him talking about Koichi like he's the villain of the story. I mean, does number 6 really see himself as the hero here? Does he really think he's the one doing what's right? He's just so completely detached from reality right now that he doesn't even know what's going on around him. And it totally makes sense that his last form is lightning. I mean, his main quirk is to move as fast as possible. Fast as light. You know, lightning kind of goes hand in hand. I don't know, I think it's a cool theming. I really like it. And I mean, this final form is just incredibly scary too. I mean, look at him. He's just like a skeleton plasma monster. Okay, so what's next for Vigilantes? Is the fight going to keep going on? Yeah, I think it's going to keep going on. Maybe we'll actually get a resolution to this never-ending fight soon. And I think the purpose for this is that we aren't just fighting for a really long time for no reason. There has to be a reason behind it. It might be to reveal little bits about the story. It might be show off some new quirks that people have. But ultimately, I actually think it is going to be tied directly to the main series. I think one of the things that they're doing right now is just extending it out a little bit just to line it up with whatever is going to be happening in the main series, because I think both series are going to collide at some point, and that point will be towards the end of this fight. Now, obviously that doesn't mean like this fight is directly going to lead into what's happening in the main series, because like timelines, this is way before, but I think something that happens here is going to need to be set before they could reveal in the main series how the connection is actually had. But I still think my statement for all these weeks is still true, that this fight is actually complete fire. It's so good. And I know it seems like it's going slow because it's every 2 weeks it's coming out and it's only like 5 to 10 pages and it's really short. But if you go back and you binge through this fight, it is actually incredible. But this 2-week waiting period in between is killing me. It feels like it's going on for so long, and I just want to see what's going to happen next. Alright, and if you're waiting every single week like I am, just trust the process, trust Furuhashi, trust Horikoshi. They have something really, really great planned for us. I just know it. But thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you all next class.